If you don't design your own financial plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's. And guess what they've got planned for you? Not much. Some people wake up every day with change you cannot see. Not around their wrists, but in their calendar, their paycheck, their fear. You see, there are two kinds of prisons in life. One is built with bricks, the other with bad decisions. And if you're not careful, you could spend 40 years in one thinking you're free just because the doors are made of comfort. Now let me tell you what I've learned. Real freedom, that kind of freedom, doesn't come from chance. It comes from laws, not government laws, wealth laws. And the tragedy is, most people never learn them. They go through life financially blind, emotionally reactive, and mentally trapped, wondering why peace is always one paycheck away. So today I want to give you the truth. Not hype, not a shortcut, but the timeless principles, the laws that create not just money, but freedom. The kind that gives you options. The kind that lets you walk away from what no longer serves you. The kind that builds dignity in decisions. And if you'll give me your attention, not your applause, not your agreement, just your attention, I'll show you how to never fear the first of the month again. If there's one truth I've discovered over and over again, it's this life doesn't wait, wealth doesn't wait, freedom certainly doesn't wait. And the longer you wait, the deeper the cost. There's a law I call the law of urgency, and it says this: if not now, when? You see, most people are trapped in the illusion of someday. Someday I'll get serious about money. Someday I'll start saving. Someday I'll launch that idea, invest that dollar, read that book. But someday is not a day on the calendar. And that delay, well, it's expensive. Not in dollars, but in lost peace, lost confidence, and lost years. I remember a young man who once came up to me and said, "I'll begin building my wealth when I get a raise." I looked him in the eye and said, "You don't need more money. You need more resolve. It's not the size of your income, it's the strength of your decision." And here's what I know. The moment you decide to take ownership, the moment you act, the universe begins to rearrange in your favor. But indecision is the thief of opportunity. It steals your momentum, your clarity, and slowly your belief. Wealth starts not with numbers, but with direction. And direction begins with action. Not tomorrow, not next Monday, but now. Start where you are, with what you have, from the very place you stand. Even the smallest step tracking your spending. Saving $1, reading for 10 minutes can change the rhythm of your entire life. The seed of freedom is urgency. The harvest comes to those who plant today. Seneca once said, "While we wait for life, life passes." And so does opportunity. I say, don't wait for all the lights to turn green. Start moving, and they'll begin turning as you go. Because wealth is not reserved for the lucky. It's built by the urgent. The idea of relying on one source of income, whether it's your job or a single investment, is a dangerous illusion. I've seen too many people get comfortable, believing that as long as they have their job or one stream of income, they're secure. But let me tell you something. One income is too close to zero. If you depend on a single source of income, you're one decision, one economic downturn, or one mistake away from disaster. Stability? It's an illusion, and a costly one. I learned this lesson early on. In my younger years, I had a job, a steady paycheck. Everything seemed fine, until one day the company I worked for started cutting back. I was suddenly without that steady income I had been relying on. That moment was an awakening. I realized that if I wanted true freedom, I needed to diversify, to create multiple streams of income that wouldn't leave me vulnerable to any one failure. I'm not talking about getting rich quick. I'm talking about building an infrastructure around you. Start with side hustles. If you're good at something, offer a service. Build something small. Maybe a blog, maybe a digital course, maybe royalties from a book you write or a product you design. Get creative. Look at dividends from stocks, rental income from real estate, and passive income from digital products. The point is this: real wealth isn't measured by how much you make, it's about how many ways you make it. When one income stream dries up, the others keep the wheels turning. If you want to avoid putting all your eggs in one basket, you need to be proactive. Every income stream you develop is like a safety net for your future. And here's the truth. When you have multiple sources of income, you don't just feel more secure, you feel more powerful. You gain control over your financial future, and with that control comes freedom. As Warren Buffett wisely put it, never depend on a single income. Make investment to create a second source. Don't wait for the world to tell you when to diversify. Start today, build something else. Your future self will thank you. We live in a world where time is often seen as the ultimate currency. People work long hours, give up weekends, sacrifice evenings, and yet they wonder why their wealth isn't growing. Let me tell you this. You don't get paid for the hour, you get paid for the value you bring to the hour. Time is limited. No matter how hard you work or how many hours you put in, there will always be a cap on how much you can earn by trading your time. The key to wealth isn't more hours, it's more value. When I started out, I worked long hours, just like everyone else. But one day I realized that I was trading my time for money. I could only work so much in a day, and the return on that time was limited. That's when I began to understand the real secret of wealth value. Instead of focusing on how much time I was putting in, I focused on increasing the value of what I brought to the table. What skills could I learn that would increase my worth? How could I solve bigger, more meaningful problems? When you shift your focus from time to value, you stop seeing yourself as a timekeeper and start seeing yourself as someone who creates solutions. The more problems you can solve, the more valuable you become, and when you increase your value, wealth follows naturally. I remember the story of a skilled craftsman who worked tirelessly at his trade, building furniture. He worked hard and put in long hours, but the value of his work didn't change much. One day, he learned to combine his craft with design and innovation. Suddenly, he wasn't just making tables. He was creating pieces of art that people were willing to pay top dollar for. He didn't trade more hours, he traded skill and results. His income skyrocketed, not because he worked harder, but because he became more valuable. The wealthy understand this truth. Wealth doesn't come from showing up early and staying late. It comes from solving bigger problems, providing better solutions, and creating more value. This is what makes wealth scalable while your hours are limited. The value you bring to those hours isn't. And when you understand that, you'll stop measuring success in time and start measuring it in impact. So, take the time today to ask yourself, how can I become more valuable? Find that one skill, that one result, that one solution that will set you apart from the crowd. Don't work harder, work smarter, work deeper, work with purpose. The people you spend time with have a far greater impact on your life than you may realize. They shape your thoughts, your habits, your mindset, and ultimately, your future. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That's not just a catchy quote, it's of life. If you surround yourself with people who lack vision, who are content with mediocrity, or who are constantly complaining about their circumstances, then that mindset will rub off on you. It's inevitable. I've seen it in my own life. In the early stages of my journey, I spent a lot of time with people who didn't have big dreams. Their conversations revolved around the latest gossip, their bills, their problems, and all the things they were waiting for. Their mindset was based on limitation, and like it or not, I started to mirror it. But when I made the conscious decision to change my circle, everything shifted. I sought out people who were builders people, who talked about their visions, their investments, their moves. They were focused on creating, on achieving, on growing. Their mindset was based on abundance, not scarcity. And that made all the difference. When you surround yourself with those who talk about wealth building, who speak in terms of possibilities and opportunities, it changes the way you think. You begin to see things differently. The lens through which you view the world shifts. You start believing that you too can achieve greatness. You start looking at challenges as opportunities, not roadblocks. You start thinking about assets, not bills. You start planning your moves, not waiting for things to happen. Your future isn't just about what you do. It's about who you surround yourself with. So, take a long, hard look at your circle. Are you associating with people who lift you up or drag you down? Are you spending time with those who challenge you to think bigger and act bolder? or with those who are content in their comfort zone. Remember, wealth is not just about money, it's about mindset. It's about having the right conversations, engaging with the right people, and being influenced by those who are striving for the same level of success you want. Choose your circle wisely. If you want a better future, start by elevating your circle today. Your future depends on the conversations you entertain. Make them count. Freedom is not about what you rent, it's about what you own. Too many people live their lives leasing everything, from their cars to their homes to even their ideas. They pay rent for their place of living, for their place of work, and for everything in between. But here's the truth. Rent is temporary. It's a system that keeps you bound to others, dependent on others for your stability and peace of mind. Ownership, on the other hand, is control. Ownership means you're in charge. I've lived both sides of the equation. I remember early on, I was living in a house that I didn't own. Sure, I was paying for it, but it wasn't mine. Every month, I made a payment to someone else while that person, the owner, was collecting money from me. It felt like a drain, like a weight. Then one day, it clicked for me. If I wanted real freedom, I needed to own. I needed to own the things that gave me security, my house, my skills, my time, my decisions. We often underestimate the power of ownership. When you own your home, you take pride in it. It becomes yours to shape, to improve, and to control. You don't answer to a landlord who decides to increase the rent or give you an eviction notice. Your home is yours, and that brings peace. When you own your skills, no one can take that away from you. It's a part of who you are. You own your mind and your thoughts. No one else can tell you what to think or how to feel. This is real power, the power to shape your life the way you want it to be. Think about it. Every dollar you spend on rent is a dollar that doesn't contribute to your future. Instead, make your payments work for you. Invest in assets. Own stocks, real estate, intellectual property, anything that can provide you with returns. Own the pieces of your life that can bring you peace and independence. Stop giving your power away. Take ownership. It's time to stop renting your future and start owning your destiny. Ownership is the key to peace. It's not just about things, it's about being in control of your life, your future, and your circumstances. When you own, you dictate the terms. When you rent, you wait for someone else to decide. What's the better option for your future? There's something incredibly powerful about building quietly, without the need for constant recognition or applause. So many people are obsessed with being seen, with showing the world their hustle every step of the way. But the truth is, wealth doesn't need a megaphone. It speaks for itself through results, not through noise. When you're busy working, you don't need the world's validation. Let your success make the noise. I've seen this play out time and time again. People who are always talking about what they're going to do, the plans they have, the steps they're about to take, yet they rarely follow through. They're focused more on being seen, on announcing their every move than actually making progress. It's almost as if they believe that their value is tied to how visible they are. But let me tell you, true wealth doesn't need to broadcast its presence. It grows in silence in the quiet hours when no one is watching. When I was getting started, there was no fanfare. I didn't announce every step I took, didn't try to get people's attention with every decision. Instead, I focused on the things that truly mattered: learning, building, and becoming more valuable. I remember those early years of building my business. No one saw the late nights, the sacrifices, the careful planning that went into it. It wasn't about impressing anyone, it was about being consistent and letting the results do the talking. The beauty of silent building is that it brings stability. It's not about flashy moments or quick bursts of success. It's about steady, persistent growth. You don't need applause when you have options. When you create something of value, you don't have to announce it. It'll be obvious to those who matter. People who understand the value of real work recognize results without needing to be told. Focus on becoming valuable, not visible. Build quietly, and in time you'll realize that your success doesn't need to shout. It stands tall and speaks for itself. Every dollar you spend should be marching toward a purpose. When I first began to understand the true power of money, it became clear to me that money is a tool, not a toy. The way you use your money speaks volumes about your values. It reflects who you are, what you believe in, and what you're committed to achieving. But here's the thing, if you don't assign a job to your dollar, someone else will. And when that happens, you'll be working for your money instead of the other way around. That's not freedom, that's slavery in disguise. Think about it. Every purchase you make is a choice. Are you spending to impress others, to escape the pressures of life? Or are you spending to build something that will last? These questions matter. When you're not deliberate with your money, it starts to control you. You end up buying things you don't need with money you don't have to impress people you don't care about. That's the trap. True wealth comes from being intentional, not just with how you earn, but with how you spend. I learned this lesson early on. I used to buy things because I thought I needed them or because it felt good in the moment. But as I began to pay attention, I realized I was spending money without purpose. I was putting my money into things that would depreciate or offer no long-term benefit. The turning point came when I understood that money should be assigned to things that appreciate, things that build value over time, whether that's investing in knowledge, assets, or long-term financial strategies. Every dollar you spend should be working for your future. When you spend with purpose, you're not just putting your money to work. You're aligning your money habits with your goals, values, and vision. This is how you break free from the cycle of debt, stress, and unnecessary consumption. When you control your spending, you're taking control of your life. You're choosing to work for freedom, not for temporary pleasures. Every dollar must march with meaning. If it doesn't, it's not helping you build the life you want, it's just taking you further from it. What you don't track, you can't improve. If you want to transform your financial situation, the first step is to get clear on where your money is going. Without awareness, your money becomes a mystery that will keep you awake at night. You know, I remember the days when I would just let my money slip through my fingers, thinking it would somehow work out. But that's not how it works. Money doesn't just flow, it's like water. It will find the path of least resistance unless you put a dam in place and control the flow. And the only way to do that is through awareness. You can't change what you're not aware of. How can you expect to get ahead financially if you don't even know where your money's going? Writing down where your money's being spent is more than just a habit, it's an awakening. It's like stepping on the scale after years of avoiding it. You may not like what you see at first, but that's the starting point. That's when transformation begins. The truth hurts, but it also heals. Once you start tracking, you'll be amazed at what you discover. Are you spending money mindlessly on things that don't matter? Are you overspending on luxuries or putting too much into the wrong places? You'll begin to notice patterns, and that's where the power lies. When you know where your money is going, you can make conscious decisions about it. You can stop the leaks and redirect it into investments that will build your wealth instead of draining it. This is the foundation of financial control. Awareness allows you to direct your money instead of letting it dictate your life. Once you know, you can act. Once you act, you can protect your future. Just like when you step on that scale and begin to track your health, you start to make the changes needed to improve. Financial health works the same way. Track it and watch your wealth grow. Emotions are a powerful force, but they should never be the drivers of your decisions. Too often, we make financial choices based on how we feel in the moment. We buy things when we're bored, or we hold on to money because we're afraid. But here's the truth. Emotions are unreliable advisors. They will mislead you, and if you let them, they'll hijack your financial future. You don't make money decisions with feelings, you make them with principles. Building wealth isn't about following your feelings. It's about following a strategy that works, whether you feel like it or not. That's where discipline comes in. Discipline is the bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. It's the consistency that keeps you moving forward when everything else is telling you to stop. And that discipline comes from planning, not reacting. Think about the difference between a tree and a plant. A tree has deep roots. It stands firm regardless of the weather, the seasons, or what happens around it. A plant, on the other hand, only grows as long as it gets the right conditions. It's fickle. But wealth building is like growing a tree. You need roots of stability that come from emotional control, not just the excitement of a quick win. Consider this. How many times have you been swayed by emotions into making poor choices? How many of you, after a rough day, decided to splurge on something you didn't need? Or perhaps you've avoided investing because fear of losing money overshadowed the possibility of growth? These emotions, as real as they are, will keep you from your goals if you let them. To create true wealth, you have to learn to separate your emotions from your decisions. It's not always easy. In fact, it's one of the hardest things you'll ever do. But if you can build a strategy and stick to it day in and day out, you'll grow roots of stability. You'll make choices based on what's right, not on how you feel. And that's how you transform your financial future. Success is not some grand, elusive concept reserved for the lucky or the exceptional. No. Success is built on a series of small, consistent disciplines practiced every single day. It's not the one big decision or the single bold move that makes the difference. It's the daily actions, the small choices that create lasting change. Think of it like building a castle. You don't build it in one giant leap. You lay brick by brick. Each brick is small, insignificant by itself, but over time, those bricks stack up to something monumental. The same applies to wealth. $1 saved today, one expense tracked tomorrow, one article read to expand your knowledge. These might seem insignificant in isolation, but add them up, and you've laid the foundation for an empire. Every time you make a decision, you're casting a vote for the person you're becoming. When you choose to invest in your skills today, you're voting for the future version of yourself who reaps the rewards of that effort. When you choose to track your spending or delay gratification, you're casting a vote for the disciplined, self-controlled version of you. Small, everyday disciplines build the habits and character that create long-term wealth. Let me give you a practical example. I didn't get where I am by making one big breakthrough. I got here by taking small steps every day. I saved what I could, I invested in learning, and I practiced self-discipline when I didn't feel like it. Each day, I did something small that brought me closer to my goals. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't immediate, but it worked. And it always will. Most people look for shortcuts, waiting for that one moment of inspiration or that lucky break. But the truth is, wealth doesn't come from that. It comes from the little, disciplined actions we take daily, consistently. So, ask yourself, what small, simple discipline can you practice today? Because today is the only day you can lay the next brick for your future. And when you look back, you'll realize that those small choices were the ones that built your castle. The first step to financial freedom isn't about making more money. It's about making a change in how you see yourself. The law of the mirror teaches us that true transformation begins when we look ourselves in the eye and face the truth about where we stand. The mirror doesn't lie. It doesn't sugarcoat your situation. It simply reflects what is. And until you can be honest with yourself, true wealth will always remain just out of reach. Too many people live in denial, pretending everything is fine while their finances are in chaos. They avoid the reality of their bank account, their spending habits, or the lack of discipline in their savings. But the moment you stop hiding from your truth, that's the moment change begins. It's not about feeling ashamed, it's about taking responsibility. Responsibility is the key to unlocking change. When you face the truth of your financial situation, you take the first step toward gaining control over it. Ask yourself the tough questions. Where am I right now? What bad habits or negative beliefs are holding me back? Am I really living within my means? Am I making wise decisions with my resources? These questions aren't meant to shame you, they're meant to open your eyes. They're meant to force you to take that first honest look at your life. You don't have to have all the answers right away, but you do need to be honest about where you are. And remember, you can't change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction overnight. That moment of truth, when you finally confront your reality, becomes the turning point. One honest look into the mirror, one decision to take responsibility, and you've already started shifting your path toward a better future. The change starts with you inside, at that moment when you refuse to lie to yourself any longer. And from there, the direction of your financial future can begin to transform one step at a time. True independence doesn't come from relying on external circumstances. It comes from within, from building a life that remains steady no matter how much the world around you shakes. Independence is about developing the resilience to stay calm and composed when things go wrong, because they will. The markets will shift. Jobs will come and go. The unexpected will happen. The question is, how prepared are you for it? You see, the same wind blows on us all. The difference, however, lies in how we set our sail. Life's challenges, the market crashes, the economy's ups and downs, they affect everyone. What separates those who remain unaffected from those who are swept away is the preparation they've made beforehand. Building reserves, developing multiple streams of income, investing in your learning, these are the things that create peace during times of chaos. If you rely on just one income source, if you don't have reserves set aside, or if you haven't made investments in your knowledge and growth, you're living on borrowed time. One unexpected change can pull the rug right from under you. But when you build a life that is prepared, you face each storm with confidence, knowing that even if one source of income dries up, others will hold you steady. I've seen it time and time again, those who have invested in themselves, in their skills, and in their financial security can weather any storm without breaking a sweat. On the other hand, those who have neglected their personal growth or have relied on a single source of income often find themselves scrambling when the unexpected happens. True wealth isn't just about accumulating money, it's about creating a life that doesn't panic when the world shifts. It's about freedom from fear and the ability to stand tall regardless of what comes your way. True wealth is the ability to weather storms without begging for shelter. And that peace comes only when you've prepared for the unpredictable by building a life that is independent, secure, and strong enough to face anything life throws at you. Success isn't built overnight. Wealth is like planting a tree. You're not going to sit under its shade today, but you'll be thankful for it many years down the road. The truth is, the journey to true wealth demands vision. It requires you to think far beyond your current situation, to imagine where you want to be in 10, 20, or even 30 years. It's not about making quick decisions for quick rewards. It's about establishing systems that will work for you in the long run. As I've always said, we must all suffer one of two pain, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Every choice you make now, every decision you take, every habit you form is a vote for your future. You can either choose the pain of discipline today, the sacrifices, the hard work, the daily focuser. You can face the pain of regret later when you look back and realize you didn't set yourself up for success. The latter pain is far more bitter, far more lasting. It will leave you with no growth, no progress, and no peace. So, how do we choose discipline over regret? We focus on the long term. We plant seeds today knowing full well we might not see the results for years. But that's the point. When you focus on short-term gratification, you get short-term results. But when you focus on long-term growth, you unlock the potential of true wealth. The rewards will come slowly, steadily but surely. When they finally do, they will bloom wide. Think like a farmer, not a gambler. The farmer plants seeds, tends to them daily, and waits. The gambler is constantly looking for the next bet, the next shortcut. But the farmer knows that success is about cultivating patience, nurturing the right habits, and understanding that the harvest will come when the time is right. So, what kind of legacy do you want to leave? Are you planting seeds today that will bear fruit tomorrow? Or are you too focused on immediate rewards to see the potential of what you could be growing for your future? The choice is yours. Take the long view. Focus on building systems that will last, and soon you'll have a life that is not only financially free, but filled with peace and purpose.